Hi guys, I'm Locutus, and welcome back to the Collective. True to my word, I am indeed uploading more videos. Yeah, even got two in the space of the same day. So yeah, based on my track record, what you're probably going to expect is to see, a spurt of a few videos, and then nothing going to be for months as usual. But no, I'm determined this time around it's going to be different. I am actually going to make a go of this properly. Like I said, I'm still not expecting this to be, this is never going to be a business. It's a hobby. But if people watch it and have fun, great. I enjoy doing it, so even if no one watches it, still great. Anyway, as you can see from the oh-so-subtle, huge font on the screen there, this is Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. Unsurprisingly, this is the sequel to the game of a few years ago, Battlefleet Gothic Armada, based on Battlefleet Gothic, the Warhammer 40k based tabletop spaceship game. And I love the tabletop game, and I love the video game, the first one, and the second game is no exception. It's just the same but more, has all the races, improved campaigns, it's just better, I think, personally. And the actual battles are fairly straightforward as well, but we'll start with just doing a battle, just to show you, the gist of the game. For those of you not familiar with the tabletop version, Battlefleet Gothic is, I say, it doesn't factor in 3 dimensions other than the fact that things can basically pass through each other, although you can ram and collide with things, but, ships can shoot past other ships. The distances involved are representatively huge, and things are made bigger just to look cool, basically. And it plays more like a naval combat game that just happens to be in space, rather than an actual sort of true 3D space game. It's very much built around the tabletop game, and I love it. And this time around, other than the few factions you've got previously, you have all of them. So you've got the Imperial Navy, which is to say the mainstay of the Imperial human fleets. You have the Adeptus Astartes, which is the Space Marines, which tend to be, compared to the Imperial Navy fleets, they tend to be a bit sort of brawlier, their ships. They're more about raw firepower at short ranges and very good at boarding actions, phenomenally good at boarding, obviously being Space Marines, because all their crew are Space Marines, who are pretty much designed to do that. But they don't have the artillery and the torpedoes that the Imperial Navy does. Other than that, they tend to be a little bit faster as well, I find. Adeptus Mechanicus, I've not really played the Adeptus Mechanicus much in this, or the tabletop. From what I understand, they're pretty similar to the Imperial Navy for the most part, but have slightly different weapons loadouts. They tend to be a little bit less armoured, a little more shooty, a little more techy, as you might imagine. Chaos ships. For those not familiar with 40k, Chaos forces in this are essentially corrupted, evil versions of the human... Well, I say evil. I mean, they're demonic, I guess, and sort of corrupted and... But, I mean, the good guys in the 40k universe are pretty horrible as well. I mean, they're xenophobic, genocidal maniacs, basically. I mean, everything in the 40k universe is horrible when you get right down to it. It's not a nice place. But, yeah, the Chaos ships, anyway, are traitor ships, essentially, and they tend to have better range and slightly better engines than the Loyalist ships. They're actually older ships, but the thing is, in 40k, older stuff is generally higher tech, because in 40k, as the name implies, is set in the 41st millennium. And humanity has sort of regressed into sort of a dark age almost, where we've forgotten how to make most of our technology, and we sort of live in this sort of... Technology is viewed as a sort of pseudo-religious thing, and it's worshipped as almost magical, and we don't really understand how it works. And, computers and things are referred to as machine spirits, for example, and no one really understands how the tech works, and we can't make new tech as good as the old tech. So the older ships from Chaos are actually more advanced than the newer Imperial ships. Then we have, well, they're now called the Eldari. But they used to be called the Eldar when I was growing up, so that's what I'm going to call them. And we've got 3 types of Eldar. We have the Eldar Corsairs, who are just assorted Eldar pirates. Now, the Eldar are an ancient race. They're basically space elves. Their ships are fragile, but they have sort of very good sort of stealth systems that make it harder to hit them. So a lot of your shots will just miss and do no damage. They're very fast, they're very maneuverable, and they have very nasty weapons. But they're fragile, they fall apart. If you get a good hit on them, they just disintegrate. If you manage to ram one of them, then they just fall to pieces because they're made of tinfoil compared to the Imperial ships. Eldar pirates all work on that sort of solar same thing. The Assyriani are craft world Eldar. They're essentially the more civilized Eldar, like the proper Eldar fleet, as it were. They work pretty similarly to the Corsairs. They tend to be a little more durable, but not quite as nippy as the Corsairs. And you get the Drukhari, which are the Dark Eldar. Again, similar kind of things. They don't work quite on the same principles. They have shadow fields. They're a bit more stealth-oriented. Not quite as techy as the Eldar, but they're a little bit tougher as well, I find. But Orcs. Orcs in 40k are hilarious. Orc technology all pretty much works because Orcs believe it works. It's weird and almost pseudo-scientific. If you give an Orc, you know, a piece of pipe and tell him it's a bazooka, and the Orc believes it's a bazooka and points it at someone, a rocket will come flying out and hit them. If you give someone else a similar weapon, then nothing will happen. And basically, that's just how Orcs work in the 40k universe. And, yep, that's how Orcs work. Sorry about that. Then we have Necrons. Necrons are another of the 40k races. They are really, really ancient. They're probably the oldest race in the game. They used to be the Necron tier. There's a whole bunch of backstory. I'm not going to go into all here. Suffice to say, they're basically space zombies or space undead. They all live in sort of robot bodies now, and the ships have a sort of Egyptian theme. You know, all pyramids and resurrection. If you're familiar with the tabletop games, Necrons would be the equivalent, the 40k equivalent to the Tomb Kings of the old game, of the tabletop Warhammer game. And all Necron ships in the game are stupidly advanced. They use inertialess drive rather than traveling through the warp. They can literally travel faster than light. Rather than sort of using hyperspace, as it were, through the warp, which is another thing. Necrons just accelerate their ships to superluminal speeds, and no one else has anywhere near the technology to do that properly. In the game, it's represented you can make sort of teleports around the map. When they're not using those drives, they tend to be relatively slow compared to the other race of ships. They don't have shields, but their hulls sort of adapt, take a lot less damage, and they regenerate themselves. And their weapons are stupidly powerful. In the tabletop game, in fact, the Necrons are so powerful that they didn't even attempt to balance them in terms of actually making them a fair fight. The Necron ships were just flat out better than everyone else's ships. But the way they balanced them in the tabletop game was that essentially every little bit of damage you did to the Necrons, every ship they lost, counted for a ton more victory points. I mean, even if you disabled a Necron ship, that was the same score-wise as destroying someone else's ship. And so whilst the Necrons would almost certainly, on paper and in practice, they would pretty much obliterate most fleets they faced, it was entirely possible to wipe your opponent's fleet out with a Necron force, lose one ship yourself, and still lose the game because your ship that you lost was effectively worth 3 times your opponent's fleet. But yeah, Necrons are obscenely good. In the Battlefleet Gothic computer game, doesn't quite work like that. They have tried to balance them. They just make their stuff a lot more expensive, so you get a lot less of it for your points. And they are extremely good, as you would expect. Tyranids, I've never played them in the tabletop, so I can't really speak too much on them, but in the game here, They're all about boarding and eating stuff. Their ships are physical bioships that just rush at you and munch your ships in melee, effectively. And then we have the Tau Protectorate and the Tau Merchant fleets. These, in practice, are two separate Tau lists that Games Workshop came out with, because when they first came out with the Tau, it was effectively the Tau Merchant fleet, and they had these weird sort of low-tech Battlestar Galactica-looking ships, and they didn't really look like they fitted with the Tau on the tabletop. So then Forge World came out with a whole bunch of other ships which looked much cooler, and that was what became the Tau Protectorate, which are much more advanced ships and much better. In practice, they're pretty much just reskins of more or less the same ships, and they pretty much work the same way in practice. The fleets are more or less equivalent to each other. Excuse me. So yeah. Anyway, today we are going to play... I'm just going to do a straight battle here. I am going to play as the Dark Angels, because that was the faction I always played on the tabletop. Well, in 40k anyway. My biggest fleet in actual Battlefleet Gothic was Imperial Navy, but we're going to play as Dark Angels. I get to pick a couple of Admiral skills. We will have plasma bombs, because they're always useful. Disruption bombs or supercharged void shields. I think we're going to have supercharged void shields because it's very useful. Although auger probes are... Now I'll show you why I don't want auger probes in a bit. And then we get to choose a couple of upgrades. I like having first company terminators. It means my flagship's boarding actions are much punchier. Can make our company command ship even better at assaulting. Can make our escorts and light cruisers have better identification range. Navigational fields lets us move through minefields and asteroid fields without taking damage. Or we can straight up... Yeah, I think we're going to take navigational shields because it's very useful. It means we can use asteroid fields as cover, effectively. And we're going to do a straight skirmish 1v1. And we just select a fleet. Now you can create a custom fleet, but I think we're just going to pick from one of the pre-made sort of vanilla cookie cutter fleets here, so we've got a choice. I quite like this one. We get a light cruiser, 2 strike cruisers, a battle barge, and a couple of Gladius frigates. Or we could have Nova frigate, battle barge, Mark II. No, we'll have this one. We'll have the Ironclad fleet here. Seems like a good fleet. And the appropriate enemy for the Dark Angels to fight, I think, will be... skirmish 1v1. Now we could invite another player to play with us, but we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to go... what's this? Oh, that's new. Yeah, we're not worried about that. Okay, we will go launch there. By default, it's dropped us against Mechanicus, but I think we're going to fight Chaos. We'll leave it on default difficulty, which is medium. We can do custom difficulty. AI suffer zone. Oh, I see. It's just straight up points. So no, we'll leave it on medium and just go through there. So, here we are. Now, as you can see already, if you've seen any footage of Battlefleet Gothic 1, Battlefleet Gothic 2... I mean, the first one was no slouch in this department, but Battlefleet Gothic 2 is a beautiful looking game. I mean, look at the detail on this battle barge. We're just on the deployment screen right, so it's all paused. I mean, look at it. Even the detail on that force field at the front of the ship for the docking bay is just, I mean, it's just gorgeous. Okay, so we're on a capture point mission. So first of all, we're going to set our ships as command groups, so I can select them easily. And then down here we've got various stances. We're going to put our light ships on run silent, so they are stealthed and the enemy won't see them unless they get good and close. What we're going to have our light ships run for those capture points at the sides here. I might actually have this one. Yeah, I think this guy's just going to run for the rear because I think the enemy will come in, they will capture that on their way in, because it's the closest one. And then they'll back. The AI usually isn't very good at holding the rear one, so if I send this little guy up the back, he can probably nip him behind them and grab it. And our main fleet, our light cruiser, can grab that, and he can also go on stealth. And these three can go right up the middle. Right towards that. The bigger ships cannot go on stealth. So for them I have a choice of brace for impact, which means I take less hull damage, better defense turrets, and I don't take as much damage from ramming. Lock on, I get a range increase, an accuracy increase, and a critical chance increase. Reload isn't just like the tabletop for reloading ordnance, it's a straight up rate of fire increase and increased speed to your boost gauges and so on, which let your ships maneuver faster. I'm actually going to go on brace for impact initially because there's a time limit between when you can change these, so I want them to start on brace for impact, so if they start taking fire before... Actually, I don't know, maybe I want them on lock on so they start with a range increase. Facing Chaos. Chaos tends to run a lot of ordnance, so a lot of, you know, bombers, torpedoes, well, not so much torpedoes, they have a lot of attack craft. So we will leave them on that. And we will kick things off. I'll immediately press the spacebar, which puts things into slow motion. And we'll have this guy take that. We'll have these guys start moving out. We'll have this guy run for that cloud over there.
We stand ready.
This guy run for that cloud.
Moving to position.
Now this guy, I'm going to have launch some Stormhawks, which are interceptors, straight up there. If they happen to encounter enemy fighters, great.
We stand ready.
I'm primarily using these to scout.
Give us purpose.
This is why I don't like taking... Oh, he's got torpedoes. I've only actually got the 2 interceptor squadrons. Okay, we'll unpause that and let time resume itself.
Where shall we strike?
These guys can just straight up start moving out. Come across here. You can see the battle barge launches quite a few Stormhawks, and if I just pause the game just to zoom in for a second, the level of detail even on the fighters, I mean, look at that. How gorgeous is that? I mean, I can't even get the right angle. It's hard to actually zoom in on attack craft, but let's get in a little bit. Look at them. Oh, so pretty. Okay, back to normal speed. That's the thing with this game as well. You don't actually see the enemy until you have sensor range to them, which you can tell is from my various circles around the ships. The light blue circle is the sensor range. You can see the fighters. Oh, they got past. They're sending fighters my way as well, so is my battle barge ready to launch more fighters? Now they'll just sort of patrol there until they come back. Now fighters do attack capital ships, they knock out turrets and eventually do some damage,
Enemy
but
in sight.
we will launch another squadron directly at those guys. combined with the turret fire,
You have seized
I
a
should
strategic
easily win that
area.
fight because Marine Interceptors are better. And as you see, they got obliterated. Of course, the catch is Marine ships are better than Chaos ships for the points. Here we go. What we got here? We have cruiser, a slaughtercross cruiser, a battle cruiser, another battle cruiser. I think there was an escort there, but I couldn't quite see what it was. We've got one of the strategic points.
Give us purpose.
That light cruiser can start moving up here. And that is a battle cruiser.
Where shall we strike?
I'm going to tell some
Initiate
Thunderhawks to
Thunderhawk
go and
bombardment.
bomb it. And this guy to also send some Thunderhawk.
Initiate
Ooh, that looks like a
Thunderhawk
battleship.
bombardment. Enemy in sight.
He has been detected, so all power to
You have
engines.
seized a strategic area.
I don't think he's going to make it.
Prepare for impact.
Brace for impact. He might get away with it. I'm actually fine if they go after him because
Enemy in sight. Engines engaged.
now my bigger ships can start coming in from the flank.
Show us the enemy.
Yeah, we don't want him to get that close. We want him to stay at about him at nice long range.
Show us
These
the
guys
enemy.
will set their engagement range to about medium. Because
Feel our might.
let's hammer this light cruiser here. Oh, it's a battle cruiser. It's not a light cruiser at
I am
all.
listening.
Bomb him.
Initiate Thunderhawk bombardment.
You have seized a
Boarding
strategic
torpedoes. And then we will do some lightning strikes as soon as his shields go down, which they're about to.
Teleport attack successful.
Beam some Marines on board and cripple him. Because Space Marines are more than a match for Chaos
Enemy
troops.
in sight. Where shall we strike?
You know what? Those escorts can have some bombs.
Give us purpose. Hold course.
Coming around this way.
I am listening.
And the plasma bomb made
stand
good
ready.
work of that escort. Let's actually tell these guys to engage at short range. Use.
That is impossible. Underway.
Around here.
All power to engine.
He can actually swing around because he's got a lot of torpedoes.
At your command.
And that's going to leave a mark. Oh, he actually dodged. Cheeky bugger.
Show us the enemy. Initiate
bomb them.
Thunderhawk bombardment. I am listening.
And let's put another plasma bomb out there. Plasma bombs have a little timer on them, but they are very good at killing escort ships.
Where shall we strike? Underway.
These guys, let's get them away from the bigger part of the enemy fleet over there. That's generally the main strategy in this game,
Initiate Thunderhawk bombardment.
is focus your fire, stop the enemy from
Give
focusing
us purpose.
his fire on you. Those bombers should
Accumulated
easily
25
annihilate that
strategic
escort.
points.
I think it's time to start boarding
That
people.
is impossible. Boarding successful. Launch Thunderhawks.
He's
All
damaged.
servitors and tech marines begin repairs.
Let's get him around there.
We stand ready. Prepare for impact! Enemy in sight!
Just got the bomb there.
I am listening. Enemy in sight!
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
I think we're going to pump some torpedoes into
At your
this guy.
command! It will be destroyed!
Actually shot most of those down. Chaos guys are doing pretty well here. We are winning, but we're not winning as comfortably as I'd
Where we
like
are
to be.
needed!
I
Give
did
us
lose one of my
purpose.
escorts, but the other one can go and take that point.
Full speed!
Oh, something disengaged. Wasn't
Give
mine.
us purpose!
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Bored the hell out of him.
Strike quickly, brothers!
Ah,
That is impossible!
special cheeky marine powers. Let's put some more torpedoes up them. That was not a well-planned torpedo strike.
Tech Marines, calm the machine spirits!
We're actually going to go fire
Initiate
at
targeting
will.
protocols!
Try and knock out this guy's turrets. All our interceptors.
Where shall we strike?
This guy missed the torpedoes. Oh,
Show
hello.
us the enemy! Enemy in sight!
Blimey, we are taking an
Give
absolute
us purpose.
beating here. In fact, oh no, we just lost a ship.
Where
could
shall
lose this.
strike? Enemy in
Put
sight!
some boarding torpedoes into this guy.
We stand ready! Tech Marines, calm the machine spirits!
Board the hell out of this. Oh, we have actually taken all the troops on that ship out.
Give us purpose!
Probably want to get the hell away from that. No, 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 no.
Hull failing! Bulkheads collapsing!
We have a problem here because he's
I am
about to
listening.
die.
Moving to position! Repositioning! Show us the enemy!
His jump engines are destroyed.
Obliterate that target! All servitors and tech marines begin repairs!
We're going to lose our battle barge. That's
The enemy
a ton
has
of points.
eliminated 25% of strategic points.
Did just take out 2 of their ships
25%
though.
of strategic points.
He got a
Engines
whole
engaged.
heap of points for taking our battle barge out.
Tech marine, calm the machine spirits!
You have seized a strategic area.
Show us the enemy!
Let's get this little guy around here.
At your command!
See if we can take out this battle cruiser.
Give us purpose!
So this is not going as well as I'd planned. Let's have a look. Let's get in closer and have a look at these guys. Look at the shield effects when these guys take hits and stuff. It's so gorgeous. So we're getting ripped to pieces by lance batteries. Slow motion camera looks amazing as well. His shields are about to come back up, which will be handy. His shields have just gone down. Put some boarding torpedoes into this guy. them go. That is so cool. Torpedoes in Battlefleet Gothic are, by the way, just to put an idea of scale on those, each one of those torpedoes is about the size of the Empire State Building. I think we can probably take this guy out, but then we're probably going to lose another ship. Assuming they don't all get shot down. I'm going to keep in slow motion for this because it just looks cool. Turrets are firing defensively. Oh, there goes another one. I don't think we're going to get through. Chaos battle cruisers have an awful lot of defensive fire capability. But the torpedoes are still coming. 2 of them are going to make it. Boom!
Our wrath cannot be denied.
Which took some of their weapons out because that was a hit and run strike. Let's unpause there.
Where shall we strike?
Volleys into there.
I am listening.
He's joining the fight as well.
I am listening.
Even the little escorts, they shouldn't be underestimated. They're not as tough as the big ships, but they pack a wallop.
You have seized a strategic area.
Well, I can't teleport onto him because
We
he's
stand ready.
But I can use the Honor of the Chapter boarding ability.
Give us purpose.
As soon as his shields drop...
Where shall we strike?
Oh, I've lost my teleports. But they're back up now. Oh no, I don't have one left.
You have accumulated 75%
Only got teleport
of
strikes
strategic
left on
points.
this guy.
Prepare for impact.
Brace for impact. Run away.
Toss the enemy. That is impossible. Where shall we strike?
I mean, to be honest, if I can keep these 2 strike cruisers up, I think
am listening.
this one probably needs to think about
Damage at critical levels.
jumping away.
Underway.
If I can get in range to do a teleport strike on this guy, there we go. Just before his shields came back up. Now it's time for this guy to run, because he's going to die. And if I disengage, I will give him some points, but I will lose less points than I will if the ship blows up. Off into the warp he goes.
We are leaving
So
the battlefield. Give us purpose.
Now, there's too many of them left. I can't win in a straight-up fight. But... especially as... oh, that's a regular cruiser. But that is a battleship.
We stand ready.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
Engines engaged.
Let's actually go back to longer range engagements.
Give us purpose. Where shall we
You know what,
strike?
little guy? Go take that capture point, because we're not going to win a straight-up fight, but all you've got to do to win the game is get to the points first, and I'm holding more points than them, and I am more mobile.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Kind of inclined to hammer that cruiser,
Initiate targeting protocol.
because the cruiser is more damaged. Yeah.
Repositioning.
The fact his shields aren't up means that he's probably taken critical damage and lost his
we are
shields.
needed.
I mean, I can hardly have a look at it, can't I? You can order them to target specific things as higher priority, so we want him targeted
I am listening.
as the priority. And we actually want to brace for impact because I'm more concerned with not taking damage at this point. Like I said, if we knock this guy out, awesome, but we've won this fight anyway. batteries.
Hold course.
I mean, this has actually been, ironically, quite a Dark Angel-y kind of victory, where we haven't really won in a straight-up fight, but we've been kind of devious and sneaky, because Dark Angels are a bit like that. But, yeah. So that was a little taster of how the battles work in Battlefleet Gothic. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed that, do let me know, because I will be very happy to do some more of that. I've been playing through the Imperial campaign in here. The campaign is very different to the straight-up battles there, because it's a whole system of managing fleets across the... well, if I go continue campaign, I'll just show you the sequence where you build and manage and move fleets around these sectors. But you see, this is the thing. These sectors are themselves each a map into itself. And people can attack, fleets come in from nowhere. There's a Tyranid fleet coming into there in 2 turns, which is actually undefended. I'm sure there was a reason for that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was planning to move over. And as you go, you level up your fleets, you increase, add more ships to them, you're allowed a certain amount of deployments. Threat levels in the galaxy move up, increasing the likelihood they're going to be attacked from somewhere. The other factions gradually attack stuff. I mean, this sector I've pretty much not bothered trying to invade properly yet. Largely because they kept getting invaded, so I'm quite happy to let the Eldar and the Necrons and the Chaos and the Orcs beat the hell out of each other for the moment there, while I'm busy myself consolidating the rest of the galaxy. But sooner or later I have to actually conquer these new sectors, and as someone who was quite fond of Dark Angels in the old days, I'm quite keen to take Caliban. If you know the backstory of the Dark Angels, you'll know why. I won't go into it here. But yeah, I'm not doing this on this video, but at some point I will probably do another video on Battlefleet Gothic 2. I really enjoy it very much. It's a fantastic game. The campaign is a whole other level of... It's like the difference between playing a single battle of Total War and playing a campaign of Total War. It's very much puts me in mind. It's not quite that complicated, the campaign management. Probably puts me more in mind of the old game, Star Wars Empire at War, in that the campaign management itself is relatively simple, but leads quite well into some quite involved battles, and it's good, and there's some good story. There's 3 campaigns you can play in the game. You can play the Imperial campaign, you can play the Necron campaign, you can play the Tyranid campaign, but they're all sort of 3 aspects of the same campaign, and their stories interweave with each other in quite nifty ways. If you play more than one of them, you'll see how they cross over with each other. Anyway, yeah, I've been Locutus, and this has been Battlefleet Gothic 2. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers!